Several times in life and in daily life we ask ourselves, how could I get some more time? Which we know is not possible, but how could I spend my time even better? If you want to know that, you have to ask yourself some questions. For instance, what do I spend my time on? If I had some more time, what would I do? Where the efforts I make in different areas, does it give me the value that I want, or do I have to do something differently? We have a structure up here where we can see some tasks that we as managers spend time on. So let's see, we grouped it in 3 different groups. The first group is the employee time, we chose to call it. So it means the time where you're directly in contact with the employee. What do I do there in direct contact with my employee, face to face, eye to eye? I'm coaching, I have status meetings, I have development meetings. What do I expect from you and what should you do even better? I have some joint visits, maybe at different customers where I'm sitting there with the sole purpose of trying to find out where their strengths and weaknesses are. It can be a delegation where I want to give you some of my tasks and be sure that you can manage. Recruitment, where I have to recruit new employees, of course. Warning meetings, you didn't perform, I have to give you a warning. It can be verbal, it can be written, of course. And termination meetings, I have to dismiss you, or to maybe you're staying in the company, but in this department I want to offer you a new job in the company. Departmental meetings where we're all together, or it can be some social meetings where we do something together. It could be team building, could be different things. So this is what we call the employee time, where you are face to face with the actual purpose of making your employees grow, feel better, and the organization to be stronger, where you increase their knowledge, increase their skills, or change their beliefs from limiting to supporting beliefs. So that's where I want to get the best out of you. And my role, my task as a manager is to do that, so that you perform not in spite of me, but because of me. Did you ever have a manager where you had the manager and said, oh, it will work out in spite of him or her? You probably tried that. But you probably also had a manager where you said, oh, I'm actually really successful and doing a good effort and feel good because of him or her and not in spite of. The next group of tasks is other management time, other managers' time. So what are we doing? We have administration, we have planning, we have finances, reporting to top management or whoever. We have product development, management meetings, own development, and still it could be something social within the management team also. So this is where I'm not in direct contact with my employees. Of course, there's a purpose of doing these things in order to improve the strategies and conducting actually more leadership than management, because I want to see what's ahead of us and what we should change. And then I'm just solving some problems, removing some stones on the road so that the employees can continue with their pace. But I'm not in direct contact, I'm not developing, I'm not focusing directly on my employees at this moment. The last one, own area of specialization. Do you think that a lot of managers, they are specialists themselves? Yes. A lot of them, they were specialists initially, and then they were probably asked, could you manage this department, these 2 employees, or 10 or 15, because you are the best specialist that we have. Sometimes it's a lucky combination, because you get a really clever person in the right position, and maybe they have managerial skills too, which is of course really good. And sometimes you lose a good specialist because you made him or her a manager, and you get a poor manager, and then it's not a good business. But both things happens. So what can you be specialized in? Well, it could be different specialist functions. It could be sales, service, IT, technology, where you are good, where you have a a specialty where you're really ahead of others. You have probably your own customers also, so you're doing something equally like the rest of your employees. A lot of managers spend a lot of time there too. So now the question is, where do I spend my time? You probably spend in all three groups, but how is it spent? Do I spend enough time with my employees in direct contact? Most managers will say, no, it's never enough, but it can be. How much time should I spend? Should it be half the time, or 80% of the time, or 20%, or 5%? There's no common rule for that. It depends how many employees you have. Of course, if you have 30 employees that in direct contact reference to you, you have to spend a lot of time face-to-face with them, and you don't have a lot of time to be working with your own specialties also. You have to manage these employees, that's why you're there. If you only have 2 employees, then you have to be part of the production of the team and probably earn some money or whatever, and then you spend less time in managing because you have to be part of the team as well. Let's see it in another structure. I made it like this because then you can see we grouped what we have in the first column, in the first group of assignments. You have the assignments where you're in direct contact with your employees. You have planning. I'm sitting with my employee one at a time or more at a time, planning what goals do I need you to achieve, what objectives do you have, what key performance indicators will I measure you upon, and what efforts do I want to see, what do you need to do to achieve it, what actions, what tasks do you have to do. This is where we adjust the expectations. This is what I expect you to do. Yes, you get paid for your job, but I'm actually paying you. I hope for results, but I'm paying you for the efforts. So what is it that I want to see? The next one is, when I ask something from you, I have to be sure that you are developed, that you are skilled to do it, that you have the right beliefs, but also the right skills to do it, the right knowledge. So that's what I'm going to secure. Do you have the right knowledge? Do you have the right skills? Do you have the right beliefs? So in order to perform as I would like to, and for you to be successful as well. And then I have to follow up, of course. Isn't that controlling? Well, I'm happy that when we're talking about air business and flying, it's called control towers and not trust towers, because sometimes we have to control in order to prevent that things fall apart or something bad happens. So you can kind of call it follow up, or you can call it controlling, or whatever you want to do. Just do it in the right way, and the purpose and the motive for doing it is to help other people succeed, and not because you don't believe in them, but you just want to help them before the accident happens. So you want to be sure that they are doing the right quantity of the tasks that you agreed upon, that they have the right priority in what they're doing, and that the quality is also good. So you have to find that balance and adjust these 3 gas handles, you might say, for them to perform. And then of course you have to motivate them, give them some feedback, both what they're doing good, but also what they could do even better all the time. Give them the motivation, give them the feedback, give them evaluation, notice what they are doing right, and not only whether they could improve. So this is actually what we could call the direct development time with your employees, or your productive management time, is where you actually manage your employees and make them grow. The other part is when we looked at the other model where you had the number 2 and number 3 column all together. Altogether, you might say that you have recruitment, you have some people you have to dismiss, so you have dismissals, or maybe they are going to work in another company. That's also kind of a dismissal because we are changing the job description. You have social activities where you interact, not of the purpose to grow or to make more money, but just to interact and have fun. And then you have your own speciality, your own specialization. What you can do here is to put some time on and say, if you have 100% of your time, how is reality now? How would you divide it? If you say, well, I probably use 70% of my time here. If you do, if that's the case, some would say 10, some would say 90. But if 70, for example, is the case, then you have only 30% to divide on the rest. Then you maybe spend 10% here, maybe only 2% here, maybe 5% here. How much is that? 17. So now you're on 87%. You only have 13% over here. So which means that you only have 13% in direct contact with the employees to make them grow. This is just an exercise where you can put percentages on all the 8 areas and then see, is there something I would like to change? And maybe this shouldn't be that big if you want to make people grow and make them make the results instead of you. Managing is to make results and success with and through other people and not just by doing it yourself. So this is a way to clarify that and see if there's something you should change in your management style and your prioritization. Good exercise. Set some time aside for that. It's a really good investment.